Every empire thinks it's found the secret to forever, but forever always ends. And no one learned that harder than ancient Egypt. For thousands of years, it stood unshaken, dazzling, divine, untouchable. But power has an enemy you can't see. Not war, not famine, something slower. Egypt didn't fall because of one war or one bad ruler. It fell because it forgot how to change. It tried so hard to preserve greatness that it strangled the very spark that created it. And the warning it left behind? We're still ignoring it. If stories like this make you see history differently, take a moment to subscribe. The more we learn from the past, the less likely we are to repeat it. Now imagine standing beside the Nile, the river alive with sunlight and promise. Everything feels eternal, but beneath that calm surface, the first cracks are forming. The Nile was Egypt's heartbeat. Each year it flooded, leaving behind rich soil and new life. That rhythm never failed, until it did. Egyptians came to trust the river more than themselves. Abundance made life predictable. Predictability bred comfort, and comfort, the slowest poison, dulled their edge. The state grew larger, the bureaucracy thicker. Innovation slowed. Priests and officials protected their positions instead of their people. Egypt began to believe the way things were would always be enough. That's where the fall began, not with invasion, but with silence. When droughts came and the Nile's floods weakened, crops failed. Hunger followed. And hunger doesn't just empty stomachs, it empties faith. People turned on one another. Governors ignored the Pharaoh's orders. Soldiers deserted. The kingdom that once seemed eternal started tearing itself apart. But the worst loss wasn't food or gold. It was trust. For centuries, Egyptians believed their rulers were divine. But when prayers stopped working, that illusion shattered. And when belief collapses, power soon follows. That's how an empire dies. Quietly, while everyone insists it's fine. While Egypt fought to hold itself together, the world beyond was changing fast. The Hittites rose in the north, the Assyrians in the east, later the Persians, then the Greeks. Egypt trusted its geography, the desert as shield, the Nile as lifeline. But walls of sand can't stop progress. The world moved. Egypt stood still. When foreign armies came, Egypt was too divided to resist. Each defeat carved away another piece of its soul. By the time Alexander the Great arrived, Egypt was no longer the master of its destiny. It was a prize to be taken. The temples still stood. The rituals continued. But the meaning behind them was gone. That's the hardest kind of death. The one that happens while you're still alive. And maybe that's the kind we fear most today. Egypt's fall isn't just a story about kings and wars. It's a story about us. When order becomes more important than progress, decline begins. When comfort replaces curiosity, the end starts. When we cling to the past, we freeze the future. Egypt's priests clung to the old ways, even as the world changed around them. They valued stability over adaptation, ritual over reason. They turned a living civilization into a museum piece. Centuries before the last stone fell, we build systems we never question. We repeat habits that no longer serve us. We assume what worked yesterday will keep working tomorrow. But the world doesn't wait. It moves, fast. And if you don't move with it, it moves past you. The moment you stop learning, you start falling. Every civilization starts with struggle and ends with comfort. The struggle builds strength. The comfort hides the cracks. Egypt's fall wasn't just political, it was psychological. They believed the gods favored them too much to fail. They forgot that survival isn't about power, it's about adaptation. And that's the danger we face now. We've built our own kind of Egypt, filled with technology, systems, and certainty. We believe our progress is permanent, but so did they. History doesn't repeat itself, but it warns. And Egypt's warning is simple. The world changes, whether you're ready or not. So what are the cracks forming in our world now? Division? Distraction? The slow decay of curiosity? Decline begins not in collapse, but in comfort. That's where the next fall starts, in the things we no longer examine. Stand before the pyramids today, and you'll feel it. Not just awe, but silence. The silence of a civilization that thought it would last forever. Every stone, every carving, every tomb whispers the same message. You are not immune to time. Egypt's story isn't ancient, it's ongoing. It lives in every nation that confuses comfort for control, in every leader who values image over truth, in every person who stops asking, "What's next?" Greatness isn't about never falling. It's about knowing when to rebuild. If this story made you think, if it stirred something quiet in you, take a moment to like this video. It helps more than you realize. And tell me in the comments, what do you think today's Egypt is? Because that's where the next fall begins, in the things we stop questioning. The pyramids still stand, but they're not proof of how strong Egypt was. They're proof of how easily strength can turn into stone.